to the No Practice Podcast, where we cover the only sport in the world where there is no practice. With your mini rod driving host, Adam Kester, Tyler Slaw, and Chase Richardson. Strap in for some debates on the world of pulling, exclusive special guests, and a whole lot of nonsense BS. The No Practice Podcast starts now.
Pulling fans across the world, those of you tuned in for the first time ever because you're Ken Veney fans, welcome to the No Practice Podcast, episode uno. How do you say 7 in Spanish, Tyler?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not bilingual, Chase.
17. Episode 17. Thank you for joining us. Guys, I'm really sorry that I missed the last show. I cannot believe you all had the best show ever, numbers-wise, without me. But I know it was because of the Europeans, not you two a-holes. So welcome back. No, this is getting exciting. We're almost to pull. Actually, some of you all are in summertime pulling season. I didn't get invited to the Pullers Championship, but I was watching you guys both get your ass beat by the Thea Bowls all weekend. So nonetheless, it's great to be back. I feel like I've been gone for a long time.
First of all, you have to have fans.
I got
to
to
get
intro
in
you.
there.
Hang on a second. I got guns blazing. I missed a week. I really missed you two guys. I listened to what you all said about me without me, but you know the love is real. Pulling season's here. I'm amped. We're all amped. Tyler, Adam, continue what you're saying. Happy to have you back on the No Practice Podcast. Intro yourself.
I'm glad I could be a guest on here. Thanks for giving me the time to talk. I really appreciate it. What's going on? I seen we still can't fix Tyler's name in the intro. That's just keeps going.
Yeah,
Cheers.
you know, some things never change, but we are fortunate to have Mr. Chase back. We'd like to credit the Europeans for giving us over 14,000 views on our last show there, not to mention our downloads on iTunes and Spotify.
Alone, right?
Yeah,
Facebook.
that's right.
I thought Chase said 140,000. Oh,
yeah, well, he probably would. But as much as we'd like to credit the Europeans, even the Europeans themselves, when I was talking to them a couple days later, they said the biggest thing was probably that Chase wasn't here that allowed us to boost those numbers. So, Chase, good to have you back. How was it just watching at home instead of actually taking part?
Well, I didn't watch at home, or else I would have been on there with you guys. But I watched.
he didn't watch it all. Let's just face it. He didn't watch it all.
I was so bitter that you all did this without me. Like, who do you think you are? Right? No, it was, you guys did a hell of a job. Actually, I think it was probably the best show yet, to be quite honest, because, you know, the content's here. We like to heckle each other, but I think the audience and the viewership, and you guys saw it last weekend at the pool, like, we're here just to promote the most badass motorsport in the world, and you all did it with or without me. And if I got fired tomorrow, the show would go on. So kudos to you all, kudos to Europeans. But don't think I'm not going to come in guns blazing on both y'all tonight.
Guns blazing and smacking your gums, eating popcorn. Very professional.
Yeah. It's very professional.
Yeah, that's the professionalism we need to bring to the table.
Speaking of professionalism, we have a big guest tonight, Mr. Ken Veney, like the guy who – at the youthful age of 84, I don't care if you know sports, if you know anything in this world, this guy, what he does at his age is quite unbelievable. Like it's national newsworthy. People just don't know about it enough. But ironically, he is a competitor in our class. But Ken Veney, episode 17, special guest. I would say he's probably the most popular driver in our class. Would you all agree with that?
Oh, I would agree with that for sure. And not only is he a driver, but he is incredibly competitive as well. The last couple of years, surely last year, he just came to a couple of select events, but the ones he came to, he made it count, and he kicked all of our asses quite a few times. So we'll give him that for sure.
But he's coming back and run the full circuit this year, or he's starting out run the full circuit. I'm going to ask him his plans of how long he plans to run it that hard all summer. But he's way smarter than I'll ever be at pulling and motors and everything in general. So don't like him as a competitor, but love what he does for pulling. So can't wait to get him on here and hear about the man himself. He's a legend, somebody that everyone should look up to one day. I want to ask him some questions about what would we be like if we're 84, but you think either the three of us will make it to 84?
I just hope if I make it to 84, I'm still pulling like he is, to be honest.
Do you think Tyler will be alive at 84, Adam?
I think 84, Tyler Slaw, and I don't know how much closer he can sit to the engine by there, but he would be there.
I'll be sitting on top of it when I'm 84.
I'll be sitting on top of it. Might be like riding the blower.
That's a great question for Ken. Tell us the description. I'm going to ask Ken that question. Tell us, each of us, what we're going to be doing when we're 84 years old and see what he says. So looking forward to the show. Shout out to Mr. Veney and his team for getting us the probably one of our most popular guests we've ever had. And that's includes a big list of people. So you guys went polling last week, and I'll be nice as I can be, but I was watching as a fan from home. Tell us how it went, Adam, the Pullers Championship. And shout out to those guys at that poll. I've watched it the last couple of years. It looks like the fans and the draw was really, bigger than it's ever been, and that's a great thing for polling. It's a great thing for that event. It's obviously a unique type of poll, I think, in terms of just, it's invitation fan votes, and I think the payouts are a little what is the payouts situation? Maybe y'all can comment on that, because I can't really.
5,000 for first.
That's
where it starts, though, and there's a lot more to it. Like, the payout's kind of complex if you're looking from the outside, from what I can tell. So a lot of it's going off to like the live streaming and the gate money and stuff was all factored in. So you beginning out, I know it's 5,000 to win for the overall. For people who don't know, that's overall weekend winner.
Is that total distance or just points, like combined finish?
I think it starts out by position finish, and if there's a tie, it goes to distance.
Yeah,
Tyler, you're carrying your beers around in a garbage
bag. Yeah. I see somebody comment. Great to see us and to see me carrying my beers around in a garbage bag. It's early in the season. The toters aren't officially fully packed quite yet, so unfortunately, our little travel backpack soft cooler didn't make the cut, and it stayed at home. But we improvised.
I think it was probably sitting next to your pop-up tent, was it not?
Yeah, probably. We improvised and we overcame, though, and I did find a trash bag, and that was good enough to throw a couple of cold ones in and take them to the bleachers and enjoy those while we were able to take in the competition. But you're absolutely right, Chase. The fans and the viewership at the Pullers Championship has been growing the last couple of years. It wouldn't surprise me if they brought in some bigger grandstands there Saturday. And the concept of that poll is not only to be, kind of a fan vote and invite only, not everybody can just show up, but they take all the money from the gate, all the money from the live stream, everything, all the money from their sponsors. They don't try to make a dime on it, and they put it all right back to the Pullers. So just that general concept, seeing some people put some events together similar to the Mid-America Truck Show, trying to get bigger payouts for the Pullers, we got to stand behind that 100%. So it was fun to be a part of, even though, yes, we did just get our ass kicked by Theobalds all weekend. But
even if you don't get invited, like I didn't, I don't care who you are. That's some pretty badass shit for growing pulling. So I subscribed and got the weekend live stream. I was rooting for both of you guys, but you both really let me down. But I wouldn't expect anything else out of you two. And Tyler, by the way, there's nothing more that says ambassador for pulling than someone making the comment. It was great seeing you carry around beers in your garbage bag. So kudos for you for helping grow the No Practice Podcast brand and for growing pulling. So I don't know if you want to get in details, Adam, specifically about your weekend and how it went. I know we talked a little bit off air and kind of.
So for anybody that really didn't know, so we had two tractors voted in to the poll, which is Beast of Burden and Footloose. People are also wanting to know probably why Footloose and Beast of Burden, or Footloose and Walk the Line at Louisville were the same tractor. Well, that was for another reason, but we had all three tractors there. Two of them were voted in, and one was just there for test passes. I'm glad they were allowing us to try some stuff. I was trying some gear ratios with these new tires, and we obviously seen that what we were doing there wasn't working.
You're there for practice. This is No Practice Podcast, and you're there practicing. Way to represent the brand.
Yeah, here's how I maybe think about mini rod pulling almost anymore, especially that weekend like this shows that is when you have a track that is as tacky and has. I mean, it's a very good track for a mini rod.
Badass track.
Yeah, it almost turns into me what I would call like a NHRA, like a nitro funny car qualifying session. Like you get the thing juiced up and you think you're gonna get it, and if it just doesn't go, you just get out of it. I mean, there was numerous tractors that didn't make it to 200 feet, and some that made it there didn't make it very pretty. But that's what happens when you match a lot of horsepower with kind of a perfect scenario for a mini rod tire and dirt. That it had so much traction, and we kind of got out of control. Me coming from Louisville, I didn't pick the front end up very, very high there, so I thought, we'd make some adjustments. It went drastically the other way, obviously, without tearing up a brand new tractor there in the first run. But the blue tractor made some good laps. Went there with the overall conservative approach on the engines. Just it's the beginning of the season. We're just slowly creeping up on the tune-up. I'm happy with the performance of the engines. I just need to harden in on the setup a little bit better. But overall, it was a fun weekend. Shout out to Brad Holzhauer and all of their crew. If you're looking for a pool to go to, this is one that is a must-see, I would say. And as this pool grows, it will just be getting better and better. Last year we didn't have our stuff ready to even go. This year I'm glad we did, and I look forward to, if everything goes good, being there in September with the PPL pool at the end of the year.
I gotta ask you guys. No, Tyler, you qualified your way in, but like, you all are from small communities similar to me. Like local elections, people put their signs up in the yard, right? Like vote for such and such city council, such and such for sheriff. Adam, did you put up signs to get in the Pullers Championship? I'm just trying to figure out what I got to do to get in next year.
You know what, dude? I'm not gonna say I did any advertising because I really didn't. I did get on there once and vote when it first came out. So I just want to thank everybody that picked our vehicles to get in there. It is an honor, and it's for me. I've been so busy here lately, I haven't been able to be grateful and thankful enough to make any Facebook posts or anything like that. But it was really cool to be voted into something, and that means that at least somebody out there is still rooting for you.
So I want campaign signs. I'm gonna put campaign signs out everywhere I go this summer. Vote for me for the Pullers.
You do, dude. You got campaign signs everywhere. See this?
Yeah. Well,
we're trying to get you recognition, man.
This is a pretty novel
performance. At least you have good wardrobe, Adam.
Yeah. There's a novel concept, Chase, where you could just qualify your way in. You can't.
I know what I'm capable of, though. I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah, that is true. No, it was pretty good. I was running some brand new tires that I've never ran before, and man, let me tell you, them sumbitches hook up, especially on dirt like that. So I probably didn't even get to half throttle both days, and mine was just standing on the wheelie bars wanting to get out of shape. And that's what makes this class great. And you could see a lot of people going through that there. Specifically Grayson Shelton. I know Chase has kind of teased him before that they got to get the new tires figured out. For those not in the know, there's like a date code that's on the tires, and occasionally, pullers will go and look at the date code on other people's tires to see, are they running the new tires? And it made me chuckle because Shelton's actually had written with like a white Sharpie near their date
new tires
in pretty big letters. They just wrote new tires with a smiley face. So in other words, like, go ahead, no need to be nosy. We'll just put it right out there for you. We're just letting you know, yes, these are new tires. And Grayson got a handful of that, and man, I felt bad for the guy having to drive all the way from North Carolina. But you know what? You got to get those first initial passes in on him and getting your ass kicked. I might have finished a little higher than him, but in my mind, him and I were equals. That we both went home knowing we've got to figure these tires out before we can, go and be a real threat. And that's part of what makes it fun for sure.
Yeah. And I think there's a break in to him too. So I was thinking I had tires in the trailer. I'm like, look, I can put these on here and do good, but maybe this is. I really thought Saturday the track was going to dry out because it was absolutely blistering hot there. I mean, it was so hot, and I'm thinking this track's going to dry out. It's going to be a little bit firmer. You're always you're always thinking of making changes, but you can't change for the last pull, right? Well, this case you could have, because the track was identical to what it was the night before, and it showed, so
it did show. And speaking of blistering hot, and Adam mentioning, he needs to lean on his motors a little harder. My father, Farmer Bruce, also went there to try some things out, but he wasn't going there to try out tires. He had put himself together a new motor combination that we got running and started up the Wednesday before the event. And instead of going with a nice, reputable person to work on this motor package, Bruce really went rogue, and he bought this intake and decided to do this with compression and got a camshaft from this person and, went with this different crank and put it all together and adjusted his port nozzles around where he thought it was right and took a reading of the air. And when Adam made a reference that we forgot our tent in addition to our cooler, what he was referencing is we had to borrow the Theobald's tent because we had to work all day Saturday replacing an engine. And I actually have a little bit of show and tell. So this is the piston that Bruce ran in his tractor on Friday.
Yeah.
And as you can see, for our audio only listeners, this piston, it looks like somebody took like a plasma cutter or a blowtorch to the side of it. Aluminum,
like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, aluminum melts at roughly 1,080 to 1,200 degrees, and the EGTs on that bad girl were right around 1,155 degrees. So the piston got melty, basically. So we had to put a different motor in on Saturday. But those particular pistons right there, they're very good pistons, and they take a little bit more heat than some of the other ones do. So she was warm. Yeah, she was warm. But you know what? We've got no one to complain about it too. Like Bruce said, he's like, I went out on my own. I tried to do this. I built it. I put it together. I tuned it. I drove it. He's like, I'm not upset.
Sounds like words from a true farmer.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It sounds like I'm all about some R&D and trying stuff. What was Bruce did some R&D up there, Tyler?
Yeah, I told him what we've got to do, because obviously we've got this pulled apart and we're going to get the thing put back together. Is I'm like, we got to at least chain it to a tree out back or chain it to a skid steer or something and get that thing wide open for like 1 to 2 seconds, just enough to like download the data, read the EGTs, adjust some port nozzles accordingly, and then maybe do that 1 or 2 more times until we get it dialed in and then actually take it to an event. The formal approach would probably be to take it to a dyno, but I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We've done that in the past and it's worked out well for us, but I guess sometimes you just got to change things up. So
R&D typically means research and development. What was it how did you describe it to me as a follow-up?
R&D. Yeah. Instead of being a research and development, it was just random decisions. That was the R&D. So, but hey,
there was a second one, random decisions and real dumb.
The real dumb might've been your part.
Sorry. I live an R&D life. So
and we all do. And that's part of it. So yeah, to have that freshly put together motor, do that to us. That's part of it. We will rebuild. So we're looking forward to getting that setup dialed in. So
that's exciting. So as we've done since our launch in October, again, shout out to all you fans. We love you. Come and yell at us at every pull we're at this year. We have merchandise we're selling at events, bumper stickers, you name it, you got it. But we're here to talk about things beyond the pulling track. So my friends that I wasn't there, I had major FOMO not being out. And, believe it or not, we actually are friends and we have
I see you at all these other events. Why didn't you show up? Just because you didn't have your vehicles doesn't mean you couldn't show up.
I have an elbow I'm trying to rehab, man. Trying to get ready. But regardless, the after pull activities and what we call this podcast, as we tell our guests, is just like sitting around our trailers after the event. So I have Snapchat on my phone, and I woke up Saturday morning to a lot of information. So mind talking about that part? Because we're here just to tell the whole story, right? So, Tyler, my Snapchat activity, you mind to comment on that?
Well, we ended up going to the bar. We went to the old Slip-In Saloon, which was actually featured on the Team Shelton interview episode of the No Practice podcast for the local establishment spotlight feature. So we went there, and they remembered talking to us on the phone and everything. And I walked in, and we were on a mission. We packed 9 of us in a Ford Escape just to get there. We had myself, Courtney, Shannon Leischner, his daughter. We had Carl from PPL. We had the Shelton crew. And the Shelton crew is in Grayson and his 3 boys. So we headed there, and I walked right in, and there was 11 of us total because Bill Leischner and his lady friend showed up as well to join us, and I ordered 11 shots, and we took those, and it was wonderful. And I turned right back around to the bar to order 11 more. And this guy over in the corner said, "Hey, are you a puller?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "Your money is no good here. Put away your wallet." He said, "I'm buying for you tonight." And I'm like, "Well, sir, that's very kind, but with all due respect, I'm planning to go relatively hard tonight. I don't know if you'd like to do that or not." And he's like, "Nope, I absolutely insist." And he even called the bartender over and he said, "Don't you charge him for anything else. I'm buying everything." I'm like, "Sir, are you sure?" He's like, "I'm positive." So I almost kind of felt bad, but we went there on a mission, and I continued to order rounds of 11 shots over and over and over for all of us that were there. And it had to be easily over 100 shots throughout the evening. So that was a good time for sure. One of the Shelton boys, I think, found true love in the bar, so that was fun to witness. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting an invite to the wedding.
When you say the Shelton boys, they're both married now, so not
yeah.
those,
Sorry, I should really clarify. So Grayson had Josiah, Clayton.
You don't need to
Cody.
be doing that.
Yeah. I'm not. Oh my goodness! Thank you for the clarification.
It's a bad way to live.
Shelton brought 3 guys with him: Cody, Josiah, and Clayton. And Clayton found true love, a single man, no funny business going on. Can't believe I went about it that way. In my mind, they were just the Shelton boys. You see them wearing their Shelton t-shirts. They're the Shelton boys. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting an invite to that wedding as that relationship develops and furthers as well.
Was it a local?
Yeah, I believe it was. So yeah.
Did she attend the poll at that night, or was just
I don't know. I wasn't doing much talking. I'm taking as well myself. So, but yeah, they seemed pretty interested. So anyway, we closed the bar down, and I think I finally got to bed around 3:30, maybe 4 in the morning. And but I was up before 8. I think I was outside just before 8, helping Bruce change the motor and run my valves. So it was kind of similar to the Russ Hildebrand episode the day after. But
did Carl Reddick come get you up to get to work on that tractor?
No. I'll bet I beat Carl up in the morning.
Tyler, we're not here in this podcast to tell everybody how much of a badass you are and how you wake up after partying all night. Actually, any parent should have their kids talk to Tyler Saul their first night out partying, because he does always get up. I love.
He knew he had to get up.
I love and appreciate that about you, but I already know that. That's common sense. The things I want to know: what happened to the guy who paid the bar tab?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
To take out a loan.
Yeah.
So he went from Friday night saying, "You're a tractor puller, your money's not good here," to Monday at work saying, "Those effing tractor pullers."
Yeah,
don't ever let them back in this town again.
I honestly felt bad for the guy. Like, I was truly had my wallet out and I'm trying to pay for him, and he's like, "Nope, put your wallet away," calling the bartender over.
So yeah, just on an average, just say a shot's $5 to $6, and there's 100 of them. Yeah. $600 if you didn't know, Chase. We know your math skills are a little slow, but
shout out to the farm show.
That's without a tip.
Podcast.
Did you get? Yeah, I mean that's without a tip, man. I mean,
yeah, I did tip the bartender because I didn't know if he was taking care of that or not. But shout out to the random guy that picked up the tab for a bunch of us pullers shots. We hung out with some of the guys from California. I got to chug some beers with some pullers from California. That was a good time. Just overall great experience and great weekend. Excellent.
That was Friday night. What about Saturday night? Did you do any activities after the pull on Saturday night?
Well, Saturday night, Adam and I got to hang out and watch the Rammunition monster truck crush some cars. And after that, we were kind of flirting around the track and hanging out by the monster truck. And eventually the drivers came over or the driver of it. And he even let me climb inside the cab of the monster truck, and I got to chug a beer hanging out of the window of the monster truck. So that was a fun experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think you could do it? You think you can drive one of them?
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem.
He must have not done his homework on you.
Yeah. Well, he didn't let me start it.
I didn't actually see Tyler chug the beer in the monster truck. So my buddy and all our friends were. I actually had a decent group of people that showed up, but Jamie had told me, he's like, "Hey, you stink," because I don't know if you know this, 90-degree heat. You're wearing a fire suit. It gets a little warm. It gets sweaty. We watched the monster truck. She's like, "I got to put this kid to bed. You're going to go take a shower right now." So I ran in there. I took a shower. She came in, put the kid down. I proceed out to the pulling track, and I'm looking around for my friends, and I see them all hanging out around the cars, right? So I walk out there, and there's 3 cars that they'd plucked out there and let the monster truck, kind of run over and stuff. And I see that somebody's got a baseball glove and a baseball, and they're throwing a ball. I see guys grabbed a paint can out of the cars. Tyler found some Rain-X or something in one of these cars. But we kind of messing around out there, and we're having a good old time, having a few beverages, and this really nice F-150 pulls up next to where we were at, and he rolls down the window, and geez, if it wasn't Brad Holzhauer, the guy that owns the property, put the pull on and everything, and I have to say I did have a straw attached to his ass because I was smoothing him over pretty good about how nice his event was, and we were really putting it on thick. And while we were sitting there talking, my buddy's got a couple kids, and they're throwing dirt clods at these cars. And my other buddy's like, "Hey, quit throwing dirt clods." So she quits throwing dirt clods at the car. We're talking to the guy. All of a sudden we hear, "Look out," and boom, a big old thud. Claire proceeded to pick up a big old clod of mud and throw it in the air, except she didn't throw it in the air. It hit this beautiful F-150 right in the fender. Made a real loud thud, and complete silence. And
obviously. This is the man. He's like the owner of the facility. He cruises out there to chat with us, and just this huge chunk of clay just gets whipped into the side of his truck, and we're all like, "Oh. No!"
Rodney proceeded to yell, "What the F are you doing, Claire?" And she's like, "I'm sorry." And we were like, "Well, she did say look out," but Brad didn't say anything. And we're kind of like, "Hey, Rodney, get your kids under control here, man." And he feels about like 2 inches tall. And the guy's like, "Where'd it hit?" I was like, "Oh, Tyler, I think you kind of waved your hand and maybe flicked the mud off the fender there." And like, it's okay. And he proceeded to leave right about after that.
Yeah,
I don't think he wanted to hang out.
He was pretty cool about it, though. He was
he
cool
was.
as he could be for
he's probably thinking,
look
at all these guys in these Kester Racing t-shirts.
Yeah.
So in world sport news, not to change the subject, but I think everything's all relevant to these conversations. In my home state of Kentucky, the PGA Golf Championship was last weekend, and you saw the number 1 golfer in the world did get arrested for a misunderstanding, I guess is the best way to call it. And I heard also on the news, not the same outlets, that there was also a potential arrest at the Pullers Championship with a competitor. Didn't get the same coverage as Scotty Scheffler, but anyone care to indulge in this dramatic situation in Nashville, Illinois last week?
I mean, I feel like there's truly only one way to cover that.
Somebody got arrested.
Let's call this guy.
That would be to call the gentleman up.
No, I haven't even heard this story yet, so I'm anxious.
Spring State Penitentiary, cell block 10, 379 speaking.
Is this Mr. Ference Vey by chance?
This is he.
All right. Well, we were just covering how you were almost possibly arrested this past weekend. Break it down for us, just exactly what happened. Set the scene, the time of day. What were you up to?
And tell him who he is too.
I'm a very person of habit. You know what I'm saying? So I get up in the morning, I take a shower, eat my breakfast, and then it's time to go get ice.
Of
And
course.
I'm looking at that big cooler in the back of the Kubota, and I'm saying, I don't want to drag that thing over into the trunk and then back. And I said, it'd be just as easy to run down that 1 mile strip to the Shell station to get the ice in the Kubota. And either Brad or Brady or one of them said, oh, there's a state trooper out there watching people with side-by-sides.
Yeah.
And Nate looks at me and goes, oh, you don't want to do that. I said, yeah, but those guys don't have that little orange triangle sign on the back of theirs. We got that on there.
Yeah, you thought you'd be good.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah,
We're
you're good. You're good to go.
So he goes, I'm not going to miss this. He goes, I'm going to bring it and just film it all. So I said, okay, whatever. So we hop in the Kubota, run down the Shell station, get our ice, get a Coke, get whatever, Twinkie, you know.
Gotta have it.
Got to have the sugar, turn around, start heading back, pay for everything, start heading back. And we got to about 200 yards from the entrance back into the dealership there at Nashville.
Oh, so close.
Oh, yeah. Well, we even got closer than that. And I see this squad car sitting on the side of the road, turned sideways. I said, oh, no. He's sitting there. They had like a little service entrance on the interstate side of the dealership before we actually turned in. He was sitting in that.
Oh, he was waiting for you.
Oh, yeah. So Nate and I said, well, let's just pull over here a minute, see what he does. So we pull over there a second, let cars go around us. He didn't move. So I said, well, let's go take our medicine. So we just pulled back on the road and went the other 100 yards, and we were about 20 feet from the entrance. Yeah, we almost made it, and he flipped on the lights.
Oh, wow. You got some real footage.
Yeah, look, this is real footage.
He was a real young fella, super nice, and, you know.
Oh, so they didn't cuff you or stuff you or anything?
No. We made more of a Nate was filming it and taking pictures and putting it all over Facebook. The only thing he did do is he got my name, and I didn't even have my wallet with me.
Oh.
Because when we jumped in the Kubota, I said, Nate, you got money? He goes, yeah, I got it. So I didn't even grab my wallet.
Oh, so you were trying to bribe the cop? Is that what was going on?
Move.
Not exactly. Man, you got me tickled now. But I didn't even, so he took my name and just ran to see if I was wanted for any felonies or outstanding warrants.
And you were out of state, so they didn't pull up. Is that correct?
Yeah, he didn't pull nothing up. So he goes, you guys, no, he goes, you just can't do this out here. He goes, I know y'all probably do it back home. He goes, I've been pulling over pullers all morning. He goes, keep it in the pits. I said, we're good. Thank you, sir.
So safe to say you didn't take the Kubota to the bar that night. Is that correct?
No, we didn't take the Kubota to the bar or go. We didn't go do no burnouts on the highway out there in it.
Yeah, that's probably a good move. Well, we're glad to hear that you managed to stay out from behind bars this past weekend.
Yeah. So
this time
he goes, I knew you were going to get caught. They sit here chewing on my, rear end the whole time. I said, oh, we are 20 more feet. We almost made it.
So close, so close. Is that your first time getting pulled over on your way to a pool?
On the Kubota, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So you guys do it okay?
Oh yeah. Yep. We're doing good. We didn't get pulled over this past weekend, so
I'm just glad we didn't go to jail like you, or almost.
Yeah.
And it's it's funny because everywhere we go, most of the time we don't have a car with us. We just throw the Kubota in the back of the hauler, and I'm not going to start the semi up and move just to go get ice. So
no, that'd be silly.
I mean, we do it everywhere, and I know.
Well, dang it, not in Nashville, Illinois. I'm happy you can put out the PSA so that when the pullers return this coming fall or late summer, that people know to stay off the road with their.
Maybe the police department can sponsor the ice.
What's funny about it? I guess it's not funny, but what was humorous about it is that morning when we left home, the PGA, the pro golf.
Well, that's what we were just talking about. Is that guy got arrested.
And the number one golfer in the world tried to pull into the parking place somehow or another crazy, and one of the cops chased him down and locked him up. So Nate took all the pictures, the memes off Facebook that were going around by that, and swapped me out for what's his name, Scotty Scheffler.
Well,
And so everybody and their cousin that we know was calling, well, what in the heck did you do? I was like, oh my God, let's go get ice.
well, we're very pleased to hear that they released you so you could compete in your diesel 4-wheel drive truck, and you'll know if you ever return back there to keep it off the roads.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining our show.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. For
So,
those of you
you've been warned.
new pulling fans that are listening for the first time, a lot of these events that we attend across the country are in typical rural towns, and every team for the most part has a side-by-side ATV vehicle, golf cart, or something that they've been willing to take on state highways at some point or another to go to a gas station and tell a similar story like Mr. Vay just did. Unfortunately for him, he did get stopped, but everything is laughable now. And unlike Scotty Scheffler, the PGA golfer, he did not go to jail. So that's another notch for tractor pulling, that we don't send our athletes to jail like some other professional mainstream sport.
Just sled operators.
I don't know. Is that another story, or we need to keep? We got to keep this show moving. We got to keep this show moving.
There'll be another time.
Yeah, of course. But pulling season is here, guys. Like, it's here. I'm looking out the window. It's still daylight. This, like, the No Practice podcast doesn't feel normal now because we're doing it in daylight. But I mean,
it's here.
Last weekend, this shit's here. Like, we're getting.
You know why? You know how I know it's here? You want to know how I know the pulling season's here?
Because you work 20 hours a day. You don't.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I got a telemarketer calling my phone every damn day telling me that there's a pull coming up and I need to sign up for it.
What's that regarding?
I don't know.
My
phone's. If Jehovah's Witness could get a hold of a phone, they're wearing mine out, is all I'm saying.
Adam, don't say that. You're going to hurt somebody's feelings over at NTPA about their new automated calls and texts. They're keeping the people very informed.
Yes. Well, the pullers are. Folks, Benson's coming. If you didn't know it, the pullers do.
Yeah. Are you guys ready for Benson? What's up?
Adam, what's your game plan? Benson build up. So,
well, I got to figure out how to get this thing back here behind us straighten out a little bit, which I think I found a few things there in the rear end.
You got three of them.
Yep, that's that one. The blue one seems to be just maybe a degree of timing, and we're ready to rock. And then the red one, we just got to get some tires on it. Just get the tire situation figured out. I think we'll be okay. It's gonna be a tough season, no doubt about it. You got to come out of the gate swinging hard, so we'll put our best foot forward, as we say, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
some headbangers in that mini rock class, in case you didn't know.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that's our. Tyler, are you pulling anywhere between the next episode? I guess we're 2 weeks from now. Or are you?
Nope. I will be watching. I will be watching Benson on Full Pull Live. Especially with that first session being offered for free for people to experience that. So I'm looking forward to taking that in.
Ad read.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. I'm gonna say I've got my bet on Adam finishing ahead of you, Chase. So I'm gonna be kicking back. I've got this fresh new bottle of whiskey that Ken Summers gave to me this past weekend at the pool as he introduced himself so shout out to him for that. I'm going to be sipping some of that, watching Benson live from the comfort of my couch. That way I don't have to move my brake pedals back.
For free, you say?
For free.
Well, you know what? It's going to be really easy to beat my ass because I don't think I can't extend my arm. So
I'll definitely beat Chase. Thanks for the shout out there, Tyler. You kind of like handicapped me there. Oh, at least Adam will beat Chase. Well, Chase couldn't beat himself right now.
I think beating himself is how he hurt that elbow in the first place.
It's probably exactly how it happened.
That's why he doesn't want to talk about it.
I'm going to ask Ken Veney if he'll drive my tractor down there, but if he says no, then we're up for a driver. So, Tyler, you might be next in line.
Ooh, that's sounding pretty appealing. But I think Ken would do a better job. Should we cut the nonsense? Should we get to Ken here now?
No, I think we need to make sure everyone knows though that the event next Friday, Benson, May 31st, is free on Full Pull
Free.
Live.
Costs
Free.
nothing.
It's free. Costs nothing. It's available on all Roku, Fire Stick, available on the Full Pull app, available on fullpull.live web domain. It's free to watch. Sign up. And then from there, monthly subscriptions begin $39.99 a month, all through the pulling season. You can cancel your subscription at any time. So if you get it and you don't like it, cancel it. Still going to be a new way of watching pulling this season, and we're really excited about it. So
And for anybody who didn't know, for $39.99, what you said? How much? $39.99 per month?
Per month, cancel anytime. If you,
Yes.
if you
Anytime.
And
get
you won't.
real pissed off whenever Adam beats my ass, then cancel before Farley. Yeah.
So for 0 cents, you can watch Adam kick Chase's ass on the pulling track. And personal guarantee, if you tune into the Full Pull Live, you won't have to sit there for 2 hours and watch Chase stuff his face with popcorn, like
All right.
unfortunately.
And chew into
everybody's
the
done.
microphone.
Yeah.
Is it really that bad?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. That's why I've teased you about it twice now. So
It's great PR.
yeah, great PR. Real. Yeah. So anyway, guys, what it is.
That's why I only come on this podcast.
Yeah, it's
To
good
eat
stuff.
and drink.
All right. So our
To the big
guests.
part of the show.
Enough
Yes.
jaw
this is what-
jacking.
this is what the people are here for. We are going to talk to a man who started racing at the age of 30 in 1970. When he retired from NHRA, he was the 7th most winningest driver in the NHRA. He then became a crew chief and went on to win 13 titles with 4 different drivers before retiring in 2001 and joining the sport of truck and tractor pulling. We're talking about none other than Mr. Ken Veney.
Round of
The
applause.
man, the myth, the legend. I like to think of him as tractor pulling's grandfather, the grandfather we all need in the sport of truck and tractor pulling. And he's going to
Yes,
be
he
joining us
is.
live tonight at any moment. And Ken does pulling well, but one thing that is maybe a little out of his reach is technical difficulties, but that is okay because with an all-star guest like Ken Veney, we are able to get him. And there he is.
There he is.
Bam.
It's Mr. Ken Veney.
How you doing, Ken?
Ken appears to be outdoors.
Is Ken
In his-
outdoors?
I think Ken's outdoors in his John Deere Gator right now.
There we go.
Ken, can you hear us?
Okay. Now I can hear you. This is the first thing I've heard you say since you and Chase and you guys were yakking away. Yeah, we had trouble inside
Yeah,
the
sorry,
building.
Ken.
It's metal inside, metal out, and we weren't communicating. So now we're sitting
That's all right.
outside in the Gator.
We're used to talking to you as you sit in your Gator.
So whatever
much
you've
like you
said,
do at
I
the
am
event.
Oh, it's
Ken?
pretty choppy.
Are you there,
What?
Ken?
Ken, we love you,
Yep.
man. Ken, don't.
Never heard a word.
Ken, did you hear anything we said?
All right, guys.
Sorry,
Ken's
fans.
outside
We
the Gator.
Yeah, I can't hear
think
me.
we have some technical
There.
difficulties here, and we need to get a few things straightened out.
Ken, thank God you're good at pulling.
Hi there.
Hi,
Hey, there
Ken.
you are. There you're back.
Oh, hi. I'm outside.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. You're good.
We can see and we can hear you, Ken. Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, it's a pleasure to have you, sir. How are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm doing great. I think
Which-
that I don't really know how you're supposed to feel at 84, but I think I feel pretty good.
I would say
I've
so.
Never been 84 before.
Yeah,
Right.
it was just not even a month ago you turned 84 at the end of April there, correct?
You got it. Yep. April 30th.
Ken,
Love
you
it.
fix every type of mechanical engine possible. Could you think you could ever fix the internet?
Could I fix the internet? No, if it's got electric hook to it, I'm SOL.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I
No,
wouldn't expect that out of you, but thank you for joining the No Practice Podcast. Ken, have you ever watched the No Practice Podcast?
only today. Today's the first time I ever seen it.
Well, you're
Did you
here
watch
for the best
any
episode.
previous episodes? Did you watch any other episodes?
You were talking to the Berry boys, and that was pretty interesting. It was worth watching.
So
Yeah,
you're going to
thank-
watch this again then?
Damn it. What did he say?
You're going to watch it again.
Am I going to watch it again? Yeah, I'll watch it again. Now
Yeah,
that I have some idea what it is.
Yeah, well, I know how much you love us, so I know you're going to be a big fan of this. So thanks for coming on here. It's a big deal to have you on. You're a household name in pulling and motorsports, so it's we really appreciate you taking the time and making all this happen. We're going to be nice to you tonight. We're not going to be nice starting next week. We're going to be nice tonight. And thank you for coming on the show, Ken.
You better not be nice next week. You better go there to kick.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah,
we're
Hey, I've done all this stuff long enough. I'm just going to go to the pool to have fun. And then when I get there, I think, maybe I ought to try and kick that guy's butt, and maybe I ought to try and kick his butt. And I turn into an old competitor like I used to always be.
I told you a couple of years ago when we were in a points chase and went down the last run, which was something I always remember. Of course, you won, but I said, where else in the world can you get an 82-year-old man and a 32-year-old man that want to rip each other's heads off in this world? So I think that's what makes one of the beautiful things about pulling. And, despite me not liking you as a competitor because you kick everybody's ass, you are great for the sport and all you've done. And, I have me, myself, and everyone have nothing but respect for you. So, but next week, I'm not going to be nice to you.
Thank you. I won't be nice to you either.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you don't need him to be nice, do you, Ken? You can handle him like you always do.
No. Yeah, well, I proved that at Louisville.
Oh, I know.
I showed everyone how good I was at Louisville.
Yeah, so
Yes.
did Chase, Ken. It's okay.
so
Hey, Ken, have you ate a hot chip?
What?
Have you
What's
ate-
that?
have you-
Chase,
have you
we're
ever ate a
not
hot chip?
betting any
All right.
hot chips.
So
I'll tell you in person. It's just a joke. No, I'll
Yeah.
tell you all about it. Basically, me, Tyler, and Adam made a bet on this podcast who was going to beat each other's ass. I got my ass beat, and they made me eat this chip that was like as hot as like a nuclear bomb going off in your stomach, and then it was really a bad deal. So I won't make you do that because I know I'll have to eat it anyway. But it was just an inside joke. I'll tell you more about it another time.
Okay.
Speaking of that, Ken, so in all of your years of racing, have you ever bet? What have you bet other people besides you're going to beat them? I mean, maybe money. Was there ever anything that you done match racing bet wise with people?
No. Ego.
Ego.
Yeah, ego. Like not
Gotcha.
money. It's just that it was worth a lot of money. It's like I could go racing here and I could go racing there and just go and kick everyone's butt, but I didn't leave there with enough personal satisfaction. So I always
Right.
raced the biggest. Once I did 4 or 5 years of match race, and then I went NHRA, and I always raced the biggest thing because I felt I could go there, and the baddest guys are around are there, and maybe I didn't win, but I put forth a lot of effort, and it was just I had more personal satisfaction getting beat by the best than I would going and kicking butt on some guys that weren't nearly as well off as we were.
Yeah. So
So
what?
that's all I know.
So you
It,
basically dominated in drag racing, and then you decided to make a change over to the pulling ranks, and you got into the mini modified class, and the minis were a little bit of a struggle at first for you. But I knew you had it figured out. But tell us about that transition from drag racing to tractor pulling.
Drag racing to tractor pulling. Oh, I don't think that. I think that if you do halfway decent at one, eventually you'll do halfway decent at the other. Just like Stan Shelton, he's doing pretty good running his Pro Mod car, and he was a good puller. Don't it? If you're pretty good at whatever you do, you'll figure out how to do other things. Like when I first pulled my little Mini, you want to hear that story?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is your show, Ken. Come on,
It's your show. Absolutely.
Okay, so what happened is I was that was 1994, and I had this little Mini. Roger Weissong built a basic chassis, and I built a motor, and it never even got the thing started. Just got it done in time. I wanted to go to Toma, and my neighbor, or a guy lived close to me, had an Aries engine and a rods he threw out of it. And he said, I'll tell you what, you want to go to Toma, if you'll weld up my block, I'll haul your Toma to Wisconsin. So we go to Wisconsin, and now the engine's never been started, and I've never been on a Mini. So we go to start it, and those starters had these big long 2.5 or 3 inch long studs or blocks, and you went to start it, and the engine bucked and it bent all those. So I ran around all dang day in Toma trying to get some material and make up studs. And I get back, the engine's still never been started, and we run that thing and take her up and put it on the scales, go through all that stuff, and get up there just in time to make a run. And it goes down the track, everything are full. And but it went like 180 feet. And all these guys go, boy, you know what? You need to put a lower gear in it. The track is too good. You can't pull that gear. You need to put a lower gear. And I go, well, I can give it more power. Oh, no, you need to put a gear in it. So I gave a little bit of power and put their gear in it. And I guess they didn't realize when I said give it a little bit more power, I could give it some more power, because I went out there and spun the wheel right out of the tire. Just twisted all the screws off of one tire, slammed it down and right into the concrete barrier between the two tracks. And that was my first experience with a Mini. And then I had a guy that Ed Chalfant, an old Mini puller that didn't live too far from me, and he goes, you know what, I can make your old Hemi a winner. And I go, okay, I'll go for that. He said, I'm going to bring you a set of tires and you put them on. And he brought them up, and they were rags. They had no tread on them. And, I put them on, and I went to Tiffin the next pull. There was only 7 pulls that year, I think. There was. Anyway, I went next pull and dang near won it, except I tore that tire up. But I got rid of some tread, and away it went. And then we did fair the rest of the year. We won, let's see, I think there was 7, and we won the last one of the year. But anyway, I forget what happened after. Oh, I know, modified chassis. And I had it pretty well done. And old Dan goes, I need you to come back and see what you can do with my car. He said, the guy that's tuning it, killing, not going anywhere. And I really didn't want to do it. I had enough of traveling all over. You're gone half of the year in a damn motel or a motorhome. So anyway, he talked me into going back for 2 races, and I did that. And then the second race was Englishtown. We did really good and didn't hurt nothing, just regular. And so he talked me to stay in the rest of the year. That was 96. Then I stayed there through 99. And at the end of 99, that was going to be it, because we weren't going to be sponsored by Mopar anymore. I said, okay, that's it. I'm 60 years old now. I don't care about doing this. And then I started finishing up that modified. And, I no more got started finishing that up. And Steinbrenner from the Yankees, he comes along and he goes, if you'll take the Daryl Gwynn team and Mike Dunn driving and Kenny Veney tuning it, I'll give you all this great money, which was way than we ever had. I did that, and then I tried to run my modified at the same time, like I'd fly in on maybe a Thursday night or something, or Monday night, Tuesday morning, come back from the races, and then the guys here at the shop, we'd take off and go pull our modified into Ohio. We did that for a little bit, and that was fun. But then I wanted to go national event pulling, and so we put 14s on it and went national. And then I made it a 4-engine, and then I built the unlimited at Chuck House. That was the last one I built. And I mean, the only thing I didn't do was a rear housing. I bought a rear housing and put in it, but I made everything else. And, made it. It was.
If you don't
people
mind me
realize it, but that tractor.
if you don't,
What? Oh, I don't mind anything.
I was just
Go
going to
ahead.
say, if you don't mind me asking, I'm sorry for interrupting. What was the choice in jumping from a mini to a modified and then pulling mod? Was it the power, the extra motors? What really pushed you that way? And then obviously, as you got older, a little harder to take care of, and why you went back to the mini rod. But what made you go from a mini to a mod?
1994. I think there was only 7 mini pulls. And then in the state of Ohio, NTPA, there was a couple ATPA pulls, Ohio State. There was a total of 58 times we could run that modified tractor and never leave the state of Ohio.
Oh.
In
Wow.
the year, the 200 miles from home, and we pulled it quite a bit, never had to go more, so it was like when I had that mini, I had to go to Terre Haute, Indiana, and I went to Wisconsin, and I forget where all we went, but there wasn't enough pulls. It wasn't enough fun. So I went to that modified, and that was fun for quite a while. But then it got to be.
So what you're saying is two-wheel drive was just too boring.
You do what?
I said, so basically you're saying a two-wheel drive was too boring to run. You had to get a modified.
A two-wheel drive was nothing that I wanted to do because it was still heavy and I couldn't move it around myself. Like my daughter and I, or my wife and I, we can load this little mini, where a two-wheel drive truck is 62 pounds, and it's hard to move around for me, being an old guy and all my friends are old. So the little mini just works out good. I go pulling and I come home and I take my forklift and I've got a chassis table. So home, I take the forklift, pick up, set it on the chassis table, and I don't need to bend over. I just work on it. It's just so much easier.
Sounds like a hell of a reason to go kick a bunch of people's ass on a weekend in a mini ride class.
That's right.
Yeah, that was
So I don't know. I heard kicking ass. I did hear that part, but that was it.
No, I said it sounds like a hell of a reason to go kick a bunch of people's ass in a mini ride class on a weekend.
So
that's fun.
Ken, tell us. The three of us would love nothing more than to be 84 someday and still pulling a mini rod. What is the recipe to being able to still be doing that at your age?
Well, I had a mother that was pretty much a genius, just a really intelligent lady. And that was one of the things that she had a few things she told me to do. And one of them was never quit doing anything. Don't stop thinking, don't stop working, don't stop anything, because once you stop, you can't gain it back. You stop, you just sit on your butt like most people my age do. Well, the first thing you know, it's hard to come down to the shop and work on my tractor. So I just do it every day. And this is an uneducated opinion, but I think that I help a lot of people think that growing old isn't that bad. They look at this old guy, skinny old hillbilly farmer, and it's like, growing old maybe it isn't that bad. So I just look at like, don't give up, just keep, like, all this crap they took out of my insides and all that. I just keep doing. It's not as easy. It just keeps getting harder. Everything you do is harder. But I think that
Right.
old people, they like to see an old guy out there still pulling, and maybe a few young people look at it like, well, maybe it isn't so bad to get old.
Right.
can tell-
No, that's amazing. Now speaking of that, like, you came from NHRA to tractor pulling, and obviously some of it had to do with, liking the sport. But as you see, maybe some of these other racers getting older that just can't let racing go, like a guy like John Force, could you possibly ever see another drag racing figure move to the pulling ranks
No.
and try it? No?
Yeah, you can, but not someone like John Force. John Force is he has just done this so long that when he quits, he will say, "That's it. I had enough." Just period.
Right.
And me, I never really had enough. I always liked what I was doing. I just had to do whatever it was that I had funds to do or help or whatever. So, like I did so many things that I did this for a little bit, that for a little bit, raced late models for a little bit, just kept doing different things. And so I still love every bit of it.
That's awesome.
I just performance. I built my first engine, from scratch in 1956. I was only 16 years old, and I just like doing it. I got the thing done, and a dumb old kid, doing it there in a cinder floored building at home, and I got it done, and it ran pretty good, and it was just like I really felt like I accomplished something. That's why I do it. I guess I like the personal satisfaction of knowing that. Other than Louisville, I like to go and just be one of the better tractors. I don't need to be I need to do pretty good, and then I feel good about the whole thing, and I'm willing to go and work on it.
You want to feel like when you show up, people say that guy can win,
or that guy's a badass.
Yeah. Everybody
right.
knows.
Yep. I'm sure they say that, hell, there must be about 6 or 8 of them here at this meet that could win any one of them. And I don't feel like that, maybe they say that guy can kick everybody's butt, because that guy doesn't kick everyone's butt. He goes and has a good time and is competitive. And the competitive thing is what I like, whether it would be football or playing cards or whatever. I like to be competitive. And this was
amazing.
The engines, anything with engines had to do with being competitive. And I just, I don't know why I like it. I just like doing it. And,
I don't like competing against you, but I love what you do for pulling. I'll say it again, but you are the competition, and that's what's so people in our class obviously know how good you are, but the fans, I don't think there's enough information about how, like, you may be the most competitive person I've ever seen in my life at age 84. And I think that's brilliant and something you should be proud of, even though sometimes me, myself, and these other two don't like it. So we're always talking about on this show, Ken, and I know you just watched recently, but we're here to try to just promote pulling and spread information on pulling. Pulling is a sport that we all love that are in it, but a lot of people don't know a lot about it. And you provide a lot of opportunity to spread that word just with questions and your perspective. So I'll ask you this and answer it the best you can. If all things were the same, and I say all things were the same in terms of drag, like you compete against the best drag racers in the world, you compete against the best tractor pullers in the world, which one is harder to be good at if if budget doesn't matter, which one's harder to be good at? Or if you had to pick one of the two?
Yeah, that's a pretty tough question. Which one is?
Well, Ken, hey, and by the way, you don't have to answer questions on here. We'll call you uncompetitive if you don't want to answer them. But I know you're competitive, so you got to answer them.
Right. I'd say probably. I don't know. I don't know. They're so, like now when I first started pulling, it would have if I really wanted to be really competitive, I could have showed off and done a lot better. I just didn't. It was so, to me, it was so, the engine wise and performance wise, it came really easy. So here's something that I used to say. When I first started pulling my modified, I pulled that thing a little while, and like I say, there was so many pulls in Ohio, I never left Ohio. We just pulled here in Ohio, and it all of a sudden it was like, I'm a badass. I got this down pretty good. And then I started pulling ATPA in different organizations, and I discovered I sucked. I had pulled a pull on Ken Miller prepared Ohio clay tracks, and it was pretty easy. For me, it was pretty easy. Then once I got to all these different kinds of tracks, it's like right now, so I go and I do pretty good, but I got to have a track that's pretty good to me. Like the track needs to come to me. I can't go to the track. In other words, I'm a hell of a lot better at drag racing than I am at tractor pulling, because I guess I don't understand dirt well enough, and I just don't do as good.
Are the tracks more consistent?
Oh yeah, right. Oh, are the tracks more consistent? What, drag racing versus pulling?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Today the drag racing tracks are way more consistent. But like 20 years ago, when we were doing the Top Fuel thing, it was terrible. They had different kinds of glue that they used, and different people that prepared the tracks, and it was about like pulling there. You're not really sure what the difference between pulling third and pulling 23rd. There's a difference, and
right.
That's how drag racing used to be. Now today they have the same person prepare the track, the same kind of glue that they spray on it, and say now it harder, it's harder to take a little mini and go and pull that thing and consistently do good.
Good answer.
That's just an opinion.
Good answer.
So basically, Ken, you're not answering my question.
Yes, he did. Chase, shit.
And part of it, like I say, has to do with I don't.
Ken, ignore this guy, okay? He's a
Ken.
mouth from Kentucky. He's a mouth from Kentucky. He likes to stir the pot. You say he didn't answer the question. You clearly answered the question. Thank you.
He didn't say which one's more difficult, drag racing or pulling.
He just said it, Chase. Are you not listening? I mean, we thought he had hard. We thought he had hard hearing. You have hard hearing. Ken said operating a mini right now is harder than drag racing.
Okay. Ken, thank you.
Right.
Thanks.
All right.
And it's a minute is harder. A minute to be consistent than drag racing. Yes, that's right. I mean, it's really hard. It's harder for me because I don't know. But I could read a racing track a lot better. See, and the thing, I think the thing that made me good at whatever part that I was good at drag racing was all the years I spent match racing. Washington, Oregon, Utah, all that. Just all these different tracks all the time. We were always on a different track. And back in the 70s, they weren't prepared. They usually weren't even hardly prepared. The glue that you used on the track, you dumped down in front of your tires and did a burnout through it. So really hard to be good in the days. And anyway, there's a lot of drag leisure right now. I mean, especially leisure because they have all that stutter boxes and things where you go up there and you floor it, put your finger on a, just how the, like all the racing I ever did, I had a clutch pedal.
Right.
Yeah.
Just right and load the clutch just right. And then driving off the starting line or slamming off the starting line. You had a lot of, just like a Mini, you got all these different ways you can leave the starting line. And there's, there's a lot of, you can do a lot of things with your Mini going down the track, but you can't always do them right. You just,
right.
The thing that's hard about
you must have watched Tyler and Adam pull last weekend.
What was that?
You must have watched Adam and Tyler pull last weekend. You must have watched Adam and Tyler pull last weekend.
Well,
hey, it's funny you say that, Ken, because we had a drag racer a couple weeks or a few episodes back, Stevie Fast Jackson. He's a pro mod racer. You may have heard the name. He came on our show, and he's actually going to drive a mini rod at some point this summer. Still working on the details of that, but he was very adamant because we asked him the same question as you, drag racing versus tractor pulling. He was saying tractor pulling has so much potential because it's a very mechanical sport still, like in terms of tuning and, man and vehicle rather than computer and vehicle and a lot of this data information they have in drag racing. Would you mind a comment on that and kind of what your thoughts are regarding, mechanical tuning of vehicles?
Oh, mechanically, in drag racing, the biggest thing, mod, is you got to leap on good and ready, but you got to be good on the tree, and they're like old funny cars. When I drove them, they're not easy to control. If you get them a little bit messed up, you can crash one of those pretty easy. They don't have a lot of downforce. And anyway, I don't want to rest here. That's all I know.
All right. Well, Ken, we do a segment every show that we call the rapid fire questions. And so there'll be quite a few questions here, but it's just a simple, quick one-word answer. And usually you'll have two options as well. So here we go. If Chuck Knapp were to give you your old tractor back, if you committed to running it for one season, would you take him up on that?
If he let me drive it for one season, boy, you got that right. Yes.
Right. What was your very first car?
My very first car was a Model A Ford 1930 that didn't run when I got rid of it. But then after
what do you drive every day?
Okay, my first car was 16 years old. It was a 1954 Ford.
All right.
And it had a because that was all my dad would let me buy. But I immediately
put a
V8 in it.
That's
right.
Boy.
If you had a flat tire on your truck, who do you think could change it quicker? TJ from SSI or Darren Mayer from DMPE?
Darren
who would you rather vacation with for a weekend? Marvin Epperson or Larry Richwine?
Richwine.
Do you prefer apple juice or cranberry juice?
I prefer cranberry juice.
If nitro was made legal to run an NTPA, would you run it, and what percent?
No, I wouldn't run it because it's not stable enough. I mean, people would just hurt too much stuff. It would really put the herd on drag or pulling. And the reason I say that is we're only going to go 350 feet. So why put something in your engine that's going to make it wear out really quick, because it'll just put more weight on it. You'll still only go
Right.
350 feet. In drag racing, you know, the more and more, you just keep going faster and faster.
That's fair. Who
That's
would you
fair.
rather go to dinner with, Don Garlitz or John Force?
Force.
Who do you think would build a better birdhouse, John Mears from PPL or Greg Randall?
Build a better birdhouse. I'd
Yeah.
probably have to go with John.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, Ken. Well done. That's our rapid fire. They're kind of silly, aren't they?
Ken, that's a great segment.
Absolutely.
All right, Ken. Tell us about the time when you built your first billet cylinder head.
Well, I built that first cylinder head. I got to go back a step further. I was a Chevy fan. I raced Chevys all the time, and Chevys at that time were faster than Hemis. But the last year I ran a Chevy, this is blown on alcohol. I put 7 blocks in it because I kept pulling them apart. So I bought my first Hemi because I could get a nice stronger block. That was Keith Black's at $2,550. But anyway, I put that head on and I ran it the first year, and it was, immediately the Hemi was better than the Chevy, after just a few races. But then I went off and raced the dang Ford for a year. Then when I come back to the Hemi, I really didn't have any money. And I had a bunch of borrowed parts, and I built the chassis and made the body, made a mold, made the body. But I didn't, I had borrowed a set of cylinder heads, and I borrowed a crankshaft. And I go out about the third time I run the thing. I'm at Columbus, Ohio at the Spring Nationals, and this guy, Frank Holly, who's a great driver, but he can be a little kind of a jerk. But anyway, he stroked me around on the starting line, and my motor got really hot, and then I wound up cracking the head on that, and I didn't even own them. So I tried to get a better head. I tried to get a better casting, and I went around, and I didn't really know a lot of people to do this, but I tried all over to get a better casting. There wasn't such a thing, and I talked to this friend of mine that worked at Chrysler Corporation, and he was a metallurgist, and he said there isn't anything. There's nothing, like he checked all this stuff out. He said there was nothing better than 356 T6 that you can make a head out at this time in 1978. He said the only thing that'd be stronger than that would be like a plate. And I go, you mean a big solid plate? And he goes, yeah, well, the plate would be stronger than the casting. So at the time I was making injector spacers like we use today. I was making a whole bunch of little parts and just would use this guy's mill to do it. Anyway, where I was buying all my aluminum, I went in there one day and I said, I would buy the scraps and make my parts out of scrap aluminum. And these guys, they said, I need a piece 22 5/8 long and 10 1/4, whatever it was, this size. And they said, well, there's nothing in the scrap right now, but maybe tomorrow there will be. So these guys cut up some pieces, and I went and made made a pair of cylinder heads out of this, solid plate. No CNC. I didn't even have a digital readout. I worked at this guy. This guy let me use his mill, and what I would do is I would do handwork on the heads all day, and then use his mill at night after he went home. And then in those days, I used to work every other day. I didn't go to bed. I'd stay up all night working. So I went to bed every other day. And I got the heads done, and I made the ports were so big in comparison to what a regular manifold was. I had to make the manifold. So anyway, I did all this. I made an aluminum manifold. It's like the one that my old manifold that I was using was the exact same thing, only I cast them. But anyway, we got the thing done, and I just made what they call today a 1471. I made this long blower, and so we go to Louisville, Kentucky, humid, terrible weather, August, and I don't want to hurt this blower that I made. Bowling Green, Kentucky. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Bowling Green, Kentucky. And so the first run I make, like when I made these heads, I made them so that I could run them without head gaskets. I tried to eliminate every problem I ever had, which naturally you can't, but I tried. And anyway, we went out and made one run, and the thing went right down the track. Boy, it was just fine. So I went back and said, okay, now we'll put the 14 on it. We didn't call it a 14, we called it a 10 bolt because I had 5 bolts on each side to hold it down. So old Hebe that worked for me for 42 years, him and I, we'd go out there, and in that terrible air, we set a new NHRA national record. So then the next weekend was Indy, and I go to Indy, and Jerry Gwynn goes, I got to have a pair of those. Joe Amato said, well, I want a pair of those. And Bob Chipper wanted a pair, and Don Gerardo and Bruce Iverson, and there were 6 people who wanted heads. So that winter, that started my head business. I bought a used mill for $2,200 and put it in my 2-car garage and started making heads. So that's a head story.
That's awesome. Tell me more about the 1471. Did I hear you right that you made the first 1471?
Yep. Only
Really?
It wasn't 14 in those days. And the way, like I was going to make billet magnesium rotors, because the magnet place that made everyone's race car stuff used to be in Orville, about 12, 14 miles from here. And they were going to cast me some big solid chunks. And I got the blueprints, and I wasn't going to make them, but this friend of mine was going to make them for me. And this leads into another, a little quick side note here. I eventually gave those blueprints to Mike Sage, and he started making billet rotors. Yeah. But going back to the blower, I go to the foundry and I say, hey, you guys, when you get a dang blower casing that's or casting that's bad on the front, don't send it back to the they redo this stuff and make ingots out of it again. I said, don't do that. Save that thing, and you get one from the back. Save that one. I want to take those 2 and weld them together. So they, the guys that work there, they screwed one up, and
maybe on purpose.
Maybe on purpose, they screwed one each end, and I went down and got them, and then I made the pieces. I machined both ends off, and then I welded it together. And since I left the 2 back bolts from the blower case, I kept that part of the blower, so it made 5 bolts on each side rather than 4. And then I had a friend of mine that worked at Goodyear. He made me up these big long shafts, and I got rotors, just regular cast rotors like at the GMC place. And I put these rotors together and welded the case up, took it back to the foundry, and they heat treated it. And then I sent it to Larry Bowers and had him machine it. And we had a 1471. Only we just called it the 10 bolt.
You should have patented that. You should have patented that thing, Ken. Did they not have patents back then?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in those days, you couldn't get a patent. Just like my dad, when I made those heads and all these guys wanted them, he goes, you ought to get a patent on that. So I checked into it, and they said, at that time in 1978, they said, you can't get a patent on this V8. There's already a patent on a V8 head. But then a few years later, I had made some funny car molds, and I come to find out that you can get a patent on an idea of make changes to something and make it better or whatever. You can get a patent on I forget what they called it. But I didn't care about a patent. All I cared about was racing my car. Just didn't care about it. That was it. I didn't worry about a business. I just wanted to race my car.
So if I come up with some badass invention, would you go in with me on a patent, Ken?
On a what?
Would you partner with me on a patent if I come up with something badass as a 1471 blower?
If you came up with something.
Yeah, would you go in with me? We can talk on Benson. I know how much you love me. We'll talk later.
So is it safe to say, Ken, that still to this day, the bolt pattern on our 1471s that we all run from all sorts of manufacturers, that bolt pattern, the way it's, not symmetrical and it's kind of strange, still comes from your 1471 that you first made?
No, it doesn't.
No,
that comes from those 4 bolts on each side, like you have. That bolt pattern comes from like a 1930 Detroit diesel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's such a goofy thing. Like when I made my manifold, I called Krager and go, could you give me the bolt pattern on that? No, we don't have that. And I called Ballard. No one had the bolt pattern. No blower manufacturer or manifold. No one knew what that bolt pattern was. So this friend of mine, we go to a truck junkyard and we get an old 671 Detroit and a bunch of big old squares. And we take these squares and start putting pins in the bolt holes and squares and all that. And we discover, well, they don't do this in thousandths. It was done in 64ths and 30 seconds. They didn't use 2 inches and 60 thousandths. They had some, I don't know. That's just how they did things. I mean, I never knew that until I got into that blower thing, but yep.
Gotcha. I'm going to get a little bit more personal here, Ken. I kind of see, besides the fact that my engine that I'm working on is a Chevy-based engine, which is different than yours, but we do share some similar things. And I'm a young guy in my mid-30s. I'm coming up. I'm buying a business that produces an engine. You obviously working in your garage at your house when you were young, coming up through the ranks and learning and all that stuff. If you were going to pass some information over, maybe whether it be, the sacrifices that you've had to make with your family, running a business, doing a majority of the work yourself, maybe not having a lot of employees to help at times and stuff like, what would you say over the years what kind of advice maybe you could give a guy that's trying to maybe follow in the same path that you are, create a manufacturing of an engine piece or what have you? What would you have to pass along there?
I'll tell you how I did. Like when I built my first Hemi, Hemis weren't as competitive as Chevys, but what I did is I studied every part. I mean, I had that thing together in a part and turned it over and checked where this was and what that was on that angle. And this is, this thing was going to be so many feet per second. And I just tried to figure all this stuff out. And so what I'm saying is you want to look at something and say, oh, this is the way it's done. You go, no, bullshit. You don't want to do that. You want to look at it and say, why is this way? This thing shouldn't be this way. Or you want to look at it and try and figure out, well, I'll go back a step further. When I built my first big block Chevy, the first thing I did when I was going to build this engine, this is going to go in a gas injected funny car when funny cars were gas burners then. And so when I went to build this engine, I went down to the bookstore and I got a Smokey Unique, How to Build a Big Block. And I just started looking at what he did. And I just took, he would do this and this. And I'd think, I don't know for sure why he did that, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out why that was done. And, but I'll tell you, that's the most important thing. You got to look at, you got to look at like, there isn't anything you can't do. That's whatever it is you want to do and building your engines, and you can do it. And
right.
You want to you never want to make something the same as someone else. You got to go, I'm going to make this better.
Right.
And then try and make it.
So what you're saying is that I need to look at what Bob Miner's done for all these years, and I need to figure out how to make that better. Because I do. I mean, you guys, you have raced with Bob Miner for a long time. You have to come up with your own ideas in your head. When you've done all that, what kind of sacrifices did you make though over the years? What kind of sacrifices did you make over the years? Being being the only guy, you never really had a lot of employees and stuff.
Well, sacrifices are 9 to 9. 9 to it. We work 9 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, and we work 9 until midnight, and so that's a pretty big sacrifice, and it's a big sacrifice for. I'll give you an example. One Sunday, it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I had I'd say we probably had about 6 or 7 employees, and it's Sunday afternoon. And I'm standing at the damn mill. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm down here working away. And tomorrow, there's going to be the first hour and a half of work, or the time. These guys are just going to be standing around talking to us about the Super Bowl. They'll be doing nothing. And here I am down here on Sunday evening working away on the mill. And that was one of the first times, and that was when I decided that. These waitresses that work weekends, they should get a big tip. Hated doing what I was doing, but I had all these payments on buildings and houses and things, and I hated doing it.
Right.
And but now, when I was building things, that was running a business. What I'm talking about there. But when I would work all day and all night on something, and just that was, I'd go, man, Brad Anderson's hat, I'm going to kick his ass, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I keep on working. That don't make no difference. There's no way that guy's going to beat me or Bird Motes or
Dale. Man.
It's just like this, and that's what it takes to do really good. You got to have a lot of enthusiasm, and I do have to admit that enthusiasm kind of goes away as you get older.
So Ken, I got to say, man, because this sounds so reminiscent of what I'm doing right now. When you said you work 9 to 9, 9 to 11, 9 to midnight, whatever. I mean, this is me. This is what I do. Did anybody give you shit for getting to work at 9 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is going to work at 6 and 7, and you're like, hey, listen here, dude, when you're at home, sit at home watching TV, my ass is in the shop working, but when I give me shit for waking up at 9, but I'm up working longer than you are.
Here's the deal. Like, I was never an early bird. I always stayed up late and all that. But when I started manufacturing parts for other people, well, hell, my customers were in Central Standard Time and Pacific Time. If I closed at 5 o'clock, it's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon out in California.
Right.
15% of my customers were in Yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That wasn't. I tried to keep my hours to where, it was convenient for everyone. I didn't advertise anything, so I just figured I'll make it convenient. And
Ken, none of us here think. None of us think you're lazy, and obviously we know if there's anything to be taken away from this and how to live a great life to age 84, just be competitive and want to beat everybody's brains out in everything you do. And then I think you're going to live a long life. Like that's my version of Ken Veney is just be competitive and try to beat people's ass all the time. Then you're going to live a long time. So I do have a question though. You're recently, you know, obviously you're headed in your business that was very successful doing, and that people that don't know tractor pulling, you know, Ken Veney heads are probably the most popular head in pulling, but you passed that on to, I think, SSI Superchargers, if I'm not mistaken. So right now, you currently, or as a competitor, I'm sure you're still working on your own equipment. So kind of tell us, you know, we know you don't send your engines to someone else to work on. Do you kind of do it all in house, and kind of what your day to day is now? Like, tell all the people out there what's the day to day for Ken Veney, and then I got a second part to the question after that.
Careful.
Well, I have 215 mini storage units that need things to be done, and I still have my shop, and I'm a problem solver, and then we got a lot of stuff to take care of at home, and I do 3 hours worth of stuff in about 8 hours. And I get done. You know, it's just like this friend of mine stopped in here Tuesday, and he goes, "Oh no, I was going out was it Tuesday or Monday? I was going out to work on my tires, hotter than hell, and I was changing how I was going to do this set of tires, and I'd already decided I'm going to start early in the morning while it's still cool." And that guy came over, and he's standing there and wanting to talk, and I say, "You know, Jerry, you come around here, and all the years you and all these different people come around here, and I never take time to talk. It would be, come on out here, I'm working on this," and I would be talking to him while I was working on something. And I said, you know, that's one of the things when I went through all those operations and lived through the whole thing, I said, I'm going to take time to talk to these people. These people take time to come around to see me. I'm going to take time to talk to them. I don't have anything to do that's that important. It's just like pulling. I'm going to try and go to all the pulls this year in NTPA. But if something goes wrong, I ain't going to be there. You know, like, I'm not going to bust my butt to work on. Well, it was like Bowling Green last year. Filled my damn engine full of grit, and that pull off. You know, I take the dang blower off, and I was going to run it again. I take the blower off, and I see all this grit laying on the intake valves. And I go, well, what you call it? The foreigners, they're over there fixing theirs and putting pistons in it.
I was going to say the foreigners over there, they didn't give a shit.
They have names. You don't have to be so competitive.
Yeah, well, I've been there, and I don't care to do it again. It'll just take. See, you gotta have fun to do as much work as we do on our stuff, our vehicles, our pulling, and all that. You gotta have a lot of fun. You gotta have personal satisfaction, but it's got to be fun too. And when it's not fun, then it's time to quit.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the most fun part about mini rod pulling is grinding tires, right? So when does that be?
Did you say? Yeah, that's part of it I could do without.
Yeah, I hear you.
I had Nichols do. I got that junk set of tires from Shannondorf, and I had Nichols threw them up. You know, so that they were all spaced the same apart. They were just scrap tires, basically. And I had him do them because he could do a nice job fixing them up better than I could. But I usually do, I just do it. And then that way I don't have anyone to complain to that the tires aren't good.
So what do you think about the new tires? What are your run-ins with the new tires? What do you think about those?
When is a new tire? What are you talking about?
If it doesn't say Pioneer on the side of it and it's older than 2019.
It's older than I don't I got some laying around there, but
oh yeah, okay.
I'll just run these old worn out things, and I mean, I just like them better than, well, let me put it this way. You know, that newer tire, it may be okay, but I didn't like it when I ran it. And we'll say that doesn't make it a bad tire. That just makes it. I didn't have a good combination for that tire. I had to take so much weight off the front that it was, I just didn't like it.
I hear you.
I feel you there, Ken. They can be tricky. Oh man,
are you going to get struck by lightning on this show? I mean, it looks like it's
be lit up.
You'll be viral. You will go viral.
Ken, in all your 50 years of competing in motorsports, if you could go back and relive 1 year, what year would it be and why?
Well, my wife just said 76 because we run. There wasn't that many national events then. Like in 1976, there was only 9 NHRA national events, and we won 6 of them. So that was, we held a record in the NHRA and won 6 NHRA national events out of 9. So that was. She thinks that was the best, but I think back when we used to race every weekend and sometimes twice on a weekend, we went 19 months one time, never got beat. And to me, that was
that's impressive.
Well, here's a little story I told. Story I told Marty one day. So Kenny Veney goes from this used car to that used car, and then he builds his own brand new car and takes it out to the race. And what I'd been doing, we'd be second or third or fourth or fifth, something like that. And I built that brand new car, and I go out and win. And boy, I had so many friends, they were just mauling me. Holy cow. And I had this old international 1-ton flatbed with big long ramps, and the guys, man, they just shove that thing up on the shove it up on the truck. And then the next week we go out and we win again. Oh, good. The guys all around. Oh, yeah. They're all shoving this thing on. And then after about the 3rd week, it was like, hey, find some spectators. Get some spectators to help push this thing on. Friendship went from the top to the bottom.
It happens.
I got to ask you, I heard Rona there in the background, and you guys are infamous for having just a wonderful relationship. How do you find a woman like Rona and keep her happy after all these years with so much time and dedication to a motorsport that you're passionate about?
Well, she is so energetic that when I was working on my car, she was so enthused, full bore kind of person going all the time. She always had plenty to do, and I think that had a lot to do with it. And then
cheerleader.
She never went to a drag race until I had my first funny car. No, I mean when I had my own funny car, I raced with another guy for a year. But then she went and she really had a good time, and I don't know. We just.
You'll be married for 60 years.
Yeah, we'll be married 60 years in June. I was just thinking today,
awesome.
It's like, I'm on the computer when I'm at work, just on there doing junk, looking up things and all that. And I thought, that's a good thing about my wife doesn't care about the computer. And so I do it at work, because if I went home and fiddled around on the computer, got into, like a lot of people, they're always on their phone or they're on their computer or something, I would turn into that person. And so I don't want to go home and do that. Whatever it is I'm going to do on the computer, I do it between when I get here and when I go home. And when I go home, I don't. I do things that she wants to do, and we both do things that the other person wants to do. Because my mom told me when I got married, this is the second thing she told me, you have to look at this marriage like you're giving up 50% of everything you want to do, and you're not gaining double now. You have to give up some. And so we both just kind of looked at it that way, and we just don't just don't always do exactly what we want to do. We do what the other person wants to do too. Yep.
What's the
Anyway,
one
my
thing that
life
you
has
go
been, the
do
whole
with
thing has
Rona
been
that you
drag
like?
race. My family, my daughter, married to.
Oh God, Ken's gone. Ken, can you hear us?
What does she like to do? Well, now that we've
What do
been to every
you
state
do?
in the nation, and now we do these little things like my wife just likes the biggest Amish thing around in the United States is.
Ken, he's gone.
Should I just call him up and we can finish it on
I've
the
been
phone?
struck by lightning after that. We don't know. That
Ken,
was
okay.
getting.
There he is.
Ken, did you get struck by lightning?
Did you get struck by lightning? You can't see.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what we were talking about.
Are you still going to Benson, Ken? Are you still going to Benson?
What?
Oh boy.
Well,
Are
we
you still
do.
going to Benson? Are you okay?
Are you okay? Are you still going to Benson?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, shit. All right. No. Ken.
Don't worry. Hey, don't worry about me. I'm not.
Oh yeah. I've heard your poor, pitiful tires and all this stuff. I'm sure you're just going in there just to show up. Yeah. No, but I have a question. You know, we're getting to the last few minutes here. It's been an unbelievable show. Thank you again for coming on. You know, it's no secret your abilities as an engine builder and what you've done and the technology you've done to create motorsports as it is. I do got to ask you this though, Ken. If you were not available and Ken Veney heads were not available, and you had to go another route, which in the mini rock class specifically, which engine combination would you run if it was not your own? And you can call them like competitors or who, or engines.
You won't like to hear this, but I would run a Brad Anderson style cylinder head on a KB block or on a
KB.
We have to get the gator in. It's starting to rain.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So
Uh-oh.
I don't want to make Adam mad, but that's.
That's okay.
I mean, I'm usually pretty truthful. So
Yep,
that's
what
absolutely.
Brad Anderson engine on a Brad Anderson block, basically, is what you're saying.
Yep. A Brad Anderson style head on a Brad Anderson block.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Builds very good stuff.
Yep.
Ken, who is the one competitor that you like taking the win from the most? If it's Saturday at Bowling Green, you're last in the class and you're going to take the win. It's always a little bit more satisfying if you take it from somebody else. Who is that person?
Someone that flew here from overseas.
Ah! So I should have said Friday at Bowling Green, huh?
Yeah.
What about Americans? What about Americans,
Let's
Ken?
see. I'm thinking.
That's all right.
It's okay.
Ken, you been to the dentist lately?
Better way.
I don't know.
You zoomed in. You're zoomed in your teeth. Sorry.
It's Chase.
Your camera's back on and we're looking at your
It's
teeth.
okay.
No, you're okay. It's okay. You're fine.
We can't see anything.
We don't see anything.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Who would I? Oh, probably. I don't know.
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one. I can't.
It's a cliffhanger.
I never really looked at it that way.
Ken, this has been an epic show.
You're too nice.
Ken,
I like your
You're too
answer of the people who flew from overseas.
Yeah,
What
that
do you
was a
think?
good one.
He liked you. Yeah.
You like? Oh. No, I don't know. I don't know who I would.
We'll leave it in suspense. Our class is so tough that literally, like, winning an event, in regardless of who you beat, it is satisfying. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's getting harder and harder every time to win one, and anybody you beat is tough.
Right.
But,
They all have good equipment. Everyone's got good equipment. And and any one of them have enough power to win. They just got to getting the weight right, getting the tires right, and getting, like, that's it. We all have good parts.
How about if you ask you
That's why tractor pulling's better than drag racing, right, Ken?
Friday at Bowling Green?
What?
Let him ask you the question again, Friday.
What did he say?
I said that's why tractor pulling's better than drag racing because everybody's good.
I'm walking inside.
All right.
Can you
Well,
All
Ken,
right.
we want to thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, man. We'll see you here in a couple weeks. It's thank you for coming on our show. I know we're like way younger than you, but we do look up to you, but we really do want to beat your ass too. So and that's okay. But
Yeah,
I hope you have a safe trip to Benson, and we'll meet you down there. Like I said, appreciate you coming on. We really enjoyed it.
yeah.
Tyler, think this.
Yes,
Your
sir.
dad and my son were both born on the same day, October 1965.
That is true.
Yep.
That is
Crazy.
that is quite something. What are the chances of that?
Yep. So when you're
pretty
thinking
awesome
about
stuff, Ken.
old, my
Thank you.
boy was born the same day as your dad.
It's like you're my
Yep.
grandfather, Ken.
Yeah. Ken,
Speaking of that, Ken, I have a really quick story real quick, and I will try to tell it as fast as I can. So we were at the U.S. Nationals one year, and you were standing at Jay Blake's trailer, and that's when Todd drove the funny car for Jay Blake. And they always parked out at the end of the road, and Bob Miner, myself, my mom, and my dad pulled up on a golf cart, and we pulled up there, and Jay's in the pits, and Bob Miner says, "Has anybody seen Todd?" And I kind of see Jay Blake kind of, glaring around and stuff. And he goes, "Nope, I sure haven't." And Bob goes, "What? You haven't seen him all day?" And he just completely lost it. I mean, when you were standing there, it was just so funny because Jay Blake is such a good guy and everything, but he had to throw the quick jab in there, But Todd's a great guy. I love Todd.
Haven't seen him all day.
That's right. He hasn't seen him all day.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
story.
Ken, thank you again for coming on our podcast. This means a lot to us.
Okay.
Again, we like to have fun and joke around a lot, but you are a hero. You're a hero to me. I'll only say it on this podcast. Next week I'll hate you, but thanks for all you do for our sport. And this is a great podcast. It's the Ken Veney version. So thank you again, and can't wait to try to kick your ass all summer.
I'm betting on you, Ken. You're going to whoop them both.
I would take that bet too.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
See ya.
He just did
Wow,
it.
that was amazing. I think the guy about got struck by lightning about
Oh, my
5 times.
goodness. I was getting nervous there for him.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was awesome. Dude,
what's
how
more
cool, could
classic
you
than-
imagine? Hang on. Which one of us is going to live to be 84 years old and be able to do that?
Well, I can tell you right now, and I'm not going to make things political, but a man his age is sharp as a tack.
Oh,
The man's mind is so sound, and he can
yeah.
recall measurements off of his cylinder head at 22 and a half inches. The guy is right on. And, I think he's showing, and I think we all have something to learn from that, he strives, he's competitive in life. Everything is a race to him. And he wakes up every day with the mentality of beating the day. He just wants to win the day, and he stays busy. I hear a lot of the things that he said. It makes me feel good about what I'm doing. I just hope I can make it to 84 years old. Man, this guy is a stallion of all people.
What you got to do there, which I've heard this before and I've always admired it and wanted to do it, is he used to sleep every other day. Think about that productivity.
Right?
You think you're tough shit working from 9 a.m. till midnight.
Right.
Ken gave up half of his sleep.
Right.
Like in general.
Right.
But
So I've heard I heard that Richard Petty, he kind of had the same regiment where he would never, he stayed up working all night long, but he would go home for lunch and he would take a 2-hour nap and then he'd work the rest of the day. He just did that. He stayed up constantly, but gave himself a couple-hour nap to recharge and work hard and would sleep maybe 4 hours a night. But
there's a lot of old folklore stories about how you live to be old and healthy, and obviously, everything's just speculation. Like when it's your time, it's your time. That's my personal belief. But my takeaway from Ken Veney is just try to beat everybody's ass every day at what you're doing. You're going to live a long time as long as
the
you.
The mind is strong. The mind is strong.
He is so competitive, and like I heckle him, and like we don't hate him, but like this dude's trying to rip our heads out when we get to Benson next weekend. Like
Chase was pretty disheartened a couple years ago whenever Ken beat him there at the end of the year, and Richardson's got a pretty cool layout in their trailer. You go in there and the minis are sitting on top, and there's kind of like an area to hang out with the toolboxes and everything. Chase wasn't in there. I think he was out crying or something. I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
and I just remember walking in there, and on his underneath the drive shaft, there's like a place for his feet, and it's an aluminum piece, but there's oil and dirt just caked on it. And I made sure I went up there and wrote Ken Veney was here when I left. And I think Chase finally seen that later down the road, but
about the next season. Yeah.
I think
definitely poking the bear.
That final event where it could have either been Chase or Ken that would have won the points, and Ken made a hell of a pass and he ran his motor hard and it paid off. And what was his phrase that he said when he walked over to the podium to collect that first place trophy? It was 3 words, Chase. Do you remember what it was?
This is all about promoting our guests. I'll keep that private between him and I. But that's why I said I know how much
you know what? No, wait, hold on a second. I'm interrupting you. Put an ad interrupts on there. I see this Chase button coming on here. I think this man is quit answering questions about a lot of shit here. So what did Ken say to you?
This is all about the guests. This is Ken Veney's show. Hey, me and Ken knows what he said. That's why we have such love for each other.
True politician over here saying a bunch of shit and nothing coming out.
No.
All right.
Maybe we can get a paid subscription service to the No Practice podcast where we tell some of those stories. But
all right. Well, fun fact: if you look Chase up,
I'm not going to say anything about any of our guests because Ken Veney is a hero and an ambassador of the sport. And
I know I'm not even trying to downplay him. I just love that he said that because a man of his age.
The funniest part is like that's what I told him. I said, where else in society can you get a 82-year-old man talking mad shit to a 33-year-old and
backing it up? That's the thing.
Like basically in so many ways saying, go suck my, you know what?
No, I don't know if he said that. Come on now.
Well, he did in in a nice way. Yeah. But,
well, I don't want people to think that's what he said because that's probably
no, he did not say that, but he didn't say that. I take it back, but he knows it's nothing but love. That's why I respect the guy.
All right. Well, boys, that was awesome. Ken's a legend in the sport. We're lucky to have him. I don't even know how to follow that up. I think we just call it a night.
No, that was awesome, man. I believe. I mean, I hope the fans got to hear a side of Ken that that they haven't got to see. The man's got stories. If you're lucky enough to meet him at a pool and he wants to talk and you get to share some stories with him, the guy's a plethora of great motorsports stories and the things that he's done. I think he's an awesome guy, and yeah, he is our competition, but you got to respect everything that he's done. And he's a great guy.
Where else can you go from Russell Hildebrand, who we love, and shout out to him and his wife, to some guys from Europe, to an 84-year-old man in 3 straight episodes?
That's right. That's what we do. And the biggest thing,
the greatest motorsport in the world, guys.
The best takeaway is don't forget, John Mears could build a better birdhouse than Greg Randall, according to Ken Veney.
Yeah,
that's right.
Touche to that.
Good
All
night,
right,
gentlemen.
boys. Well, remember to tune in. I want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day.
For sure.
Be thankful for what it's for. So happy Memorial Day to both of you guys and all of our fans. I guess the next time we'll be talking is after we compete in Benson. But I just want to say happy Memorial Day to everybody, and cheers, boys.
Cheers. Full Live. Watch it for free next Friday night, guys. I hate you guys and love you at the same time. Thanks for tuning in. See you in a couple weeks, fans. Cheers.
Peace.
Ready for the greatest motorsport on earth? Introducing Full Pull Live, your front row seat to all the action. With exclusive trackside commentary, line driver interviews, and heart-pounding footage of all the raw horsepower action. An all-new stream like no other. Available anywhere and everywhere you are. We are so confident we're giving you a taste of the action for free. This May 31st, watch the first session of the Galant Mule City 300 in Benson, North Carolina without paying a penny. Then sign up for the $39.99 a month and buckle in for one heck of a season. Full Pull Live, the greatest motorsport on earth, streams here.
It's a wrap.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the No Practice Podcast.
Have a good one. Bye.
Stay tuned for the next episode, where we guarantee there still won't be any practice.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.